All right, so this week we are discussing the newest entry into the Spider-Verse series. I think there's a plan for there to be 3 movies. There might be more, I'm not sure. This is Spider-Man : Across the Spider-Verse. Yes? Do you have something to say?
No. I really love the movie Spider-Man :
No. It's Spider-Man : Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay, I apologize. Continue.
This film came out just last month. Yes. Last month. And it follows Miles Morales, who we've seen in the previous iteration. He gets pulled back into adventure when Gwen comes to visit him, and he meets a bunch of spiders, things, and people, and one who's in charge, who's a vampire spider from the future. And this film is beautiful artistically. It explores themes of writing your own story, family dynamics, how to care for and be cared by someone. And it's going to be a good time talking about this movie film.
This is a movie film, and we're going to talk about it. But I really only have one question for you, Zach, and that is, but is Spider-Man : Across the Spider-Verse good?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.
Welcome to the episode. What is this, 130? Because you're even, I'm odd.
130, baby. Episode 130 of the But Is It Good podcast. I am your host, Zach Olson.
I am your host, Hunter Callahan.
And we talk about movies.
And we ask you the question, but is it good? We don't care about the other stuff. We don't care about
We talk about the other stuff and the details, though, because we have to,
fill up the time.
And we'll go on some rants. If you like rants, hang out, because we're going to go on some.
Hang out. But then we ask, at the end of the episode, but is it good?
Mm-hmm.
And you may think, Rotten Tomatoes is kind of the standard, determining factor for a film.
I think that less and less every day of my life. Well, every morning I'll wake up and I say, not a little less than yesterday. Rotten Tomatoes.
What I was going to say, though, is actually you're wrong. This podcast is the determining factor of whether or not something is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have opinions and we think they're the most important.
Eventually, we're going to catch up on every movie ever. So our plan is for the writer's strike to just never end. And if we do one episode per week, we'll be done in probably like 400 years. And we'll be caught up. And then the writer's strike can end and we can have more movies.
I recently, when I was in D.C., I met the CIO of the Library of Congress. Her name is Judith. She's very cool. And I'm gonna let her know when we're done reviewing every film ever made. I'm gonna let her know. Here's the comprehensive list
of what should be entered.
Of what? Yeah, exactly.
Shrek. Well, actually, Shrek's in there.
Yeah, Shrek's good.
Mm-hmm. We determined that on the podcast. That's how you know.
Yes, exactly. This has gone on way too long. Zach, how are you? Are you getting moved in? You getting settled into the new place?
I'm settled for the most part. I mean, there's like a couple things I need to do. Like you can see I've got something hanging on my fridge. It should be, I'm going to hang something here with like hooks. And I'm going to hang that on one of those hooks. One of those hooks over here. But, other than little things like that, I'm in here. I'm living in here.
Good deal.
Athena is on the couch, but she's like right out of the shot. She's like,
Yeah,
right,
no. Oh, well, good deal.
How are you?
I'm very sleepy.
Me too.
Sorry, we had a show last night. We had a trio show, me and Chase and Jess, and I believe I got in bed at 1:30, and I was up by like 6:45, so I'm a little sleepy, but I'm feeling good, man. Saw the movie today and ready to talk about it.
Mm-hmm,
If I'm talking a little slower than usual, that's why.
Well, all right.
So before we dive in and we give our thoughts, Zach, you have to tell them, subscribe and all that shit. Sorry, I shouldn't be so abrasive with it. Please, we appreciate it.
You garbage. Subscribe. You said
right.
Abrasive, so I had to,
Yeah. Just be more abrasive.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm like one of those steel wool things that you use to scrub, like stainless steel appliances and cookware. I'm abrasive.
You like really coarse sandpaper.
That's right.
All right, well, Zach, you literally just got out of the movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, while it's fresh in your mind, what did you think?
I'm going to give a short preface and say that the first film, Into the Spider-Verse, taught me some things about myself. Like, I was getting, like, nauseous and like getting headaches. It makes me think that I might have a little bit of photosensitivity that other movies haven't triggered in the past, because there was a lot of, like, when there were action scenes, it was very, like, flash, flash, boom, boom, pow, in this film, not so much. At the beginning, like when the like intro credits are rolling, it was very, like, a lot of things were going on. But past that point, it was much better. I thought it was awesome. The story was a step up from the first movie. I like the characters. It had a nice mix of. That was like the most basic thing I could have said. Sorry. I like the characters.
I like how the pictures moved.
Y'all get to spend an hour trying to figure out if I actually watched the movie or not. Okay.
Yeah, that's the game.
No.
Hold on. Sorry. Side note: that'd be hilarious if one of us watches the movie. And
we should do that.
Hold on, and we don't tell the other person what the movie is, and you have to spend the entire time trying to guess the movie, but also pretending like you know what you're talking about.
The entire time. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. We should try.
We're gonna do that one day. We're gonna do that one of these days. When we have a quiet month, which is gonna happen in a couple months.
I'm about to say August is pretty quiet.
Right. It had a very nice pacing and mixture of, like, heartfelt moments, action moments, jokes, and, like, comic relief, and it was just it felt extremely well rounded. You can tell that a lot of work went into it, and they didn't pull any punches or cut any corners. Like, this feels like a full movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Even though it's no, that's a spoiler. Never mind. Go on. Do you have anything else? I was gonna say something, but then I thought, no, that's a spoiler. So
What, the cliffhanger? The cliffhanger?
Yeah, I guess that's not really a spoiler, is it?
No, as long as you don't, like, talk about it, like, in detail.
Even though it's not actually the full story, there's more coming.
Well, but that's okay. Like, so and here's the first tangent of the episode. Actually, we've gone on a couple already, but here's the first one. In the movie part, that I love the Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit movies are weaker. They are weaker, right? But Desolation of Smaug was awesome, and part of it was because of that cliffhanger at the end. When he's flying. Spoiler alert! When he's flying towards the city across the lake. And it's like, oh, shit, I got to wait like another year to find out what happens, even though I read the book like 6 times. Oh, shit. So cliffhangers aren't necessarily, like, I feel like there was a full story here.
Yeah.
Just like there could have been a full story in Man of Steel that ends with him getting to the spaceship.
Yeah, or like Well, that's a different movie, but like the fight ends, and then it like starts over in Man of Steel. That's Man of Steel. But anyway, carry on. Are you done with your non-spoiler section?
Oh yeah. It was really enjoyed it. We'll talk more. I can't really say much more without getting into spoiler stuff because there's
True.
A lot going on.
I'd have to agree. I really enjoyed the first one, and both times I've been late to the game. I saw the first one like 6 months after it came out, and then I know this came out last month. But I saw it today. Shout out to NCG. It was really quiet, like the volume. I was like, they need to turn this up, so that got kind of annoying after a while.
Great.
But
classic NCG.
Really loved it. I thought it was I was cracking up at a lot of stuff, but I thought the humor is really well written. Like it's I can't really think of any examples. I'm trying to think of examples by the time we get the spoilers, but there's
some spider pointing memes. Like there's
like that, but that's
more than
like
one.
That's like low hanging fruit, but like the quips and the interactions and the chemistry between all the characters was really well done. And it never felt like it was, there's so many superhero movies that just feel like they're cramming in jokes and then they pause for laughter. This wasn't that. This felt really natural. The animation style is really something to behold, whether or not you like it, whether or not it affects your vision or your state of mind much. It's really impressive and it's really articulate, and the amount of detail in it's crazy. And I think that in and of itself is something to behold. I think the story is super cool. I think it presents the multiverse in an interesting way in a world where the multiverse is already boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, like I think the most boring multiverse movie probably is No Way Home, to me. Even though it's not the worst. The worst one is Doctor Strange by a lot. But like this movie presents a multiverse and it shows it in a really interesting way. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like, oh, here's one person and there's something. No, they explain it in the way that they interact with it. I think, to me at least, is really interesting. What? I feel like you want to say something?
Yeah, and then I realized it was going to be like spoiler related, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
That's why I put the mic down.
I really had a good time. I had a fun time watching it. I'm not even the biggest Spider-Man fan, but it really, like, I get invested. And there's a lot of heart in this. There's a lot of, the core of it's really strong. It's family ties and it's those kind of things. So I loved it. I think it was really great. You're up. You know what time it is?
Oh, it is time for us to say spoilers ahead, and now we're going to start talking about them. So if you haven't seen this movie, go catch it in theaters before it gets out of theaters. It's going to be on streaming at some point, but you should probably go see this in theaters. It's a
And this is one of the few recently that's been doing really well.
Well, I mean, it came out June 2nd. It's still in theaters. That is it seems like a rarity nowadays for a film to stay in theaters for like a full month.
I was gonna say this is definitely. I think it's at least past 600. Might have gotten more by now, but like Indiana Jones
42.3 million.
There you go. Indiana Jones bombed, Flash bombed, Elementals bombed. This one's been doing very well. So go see it in theaters while it's still there, because it's on the big screen. It's really something to behold. But Zach, are you ready? You have your timer up and all that good stuff?
I'm getting my timer up right now. Sing a song, Hunter.
Movie in a minute. Time for movie in a minute. It's going to talk about Spider-Verse in a minute.
Sing me a song with a country western style.
Talking movie in a minute. Going over 6 seconds. Movie. I forgot how it goes. Movie in a minute.
60
seconds. Are you ready?
Yeah, I've been ready that whole time. I just wanted to hear you sing the song.
Okay, well, good for you.
Okay, so here is... Oh, gosh. We'll see how this goes. Here is Spider-Man : Across the Spider-Verse in 60 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. we start with Gwen. Her and her dad have like a complicated relationship because he's trying to find Spider-Woman, because Spider-Woman killed Peter Parker, and it's Gwen. Oh shit! So some like Renaissance Vulture comes in and attacks, and Gwen and some other Spider people fight it off, and then she gets recruited to this like special force. We go to Miles's universe, and there's stuff happening. There's the Spot, I think his name, or the Polka Dot. I don't remember what his name is. Anyways, he's doing stuff, and then Gwen shows up, and she's supposed to be finding the Spot, but she goes and checks on Miles, and then Miles follows her, and the Spot gets away and goes to like another universe, and Miles follows and prevents a canon event, which throws everything out of whack. Then they go to like Spider secret place, and a bunch of Spider-Men are like, no, you can't save your father. He has to die. That's a canon event. Otherwise, the web is going to blow up. And he's like, I can write my own story. And he goes home, and then it's a cliffhanger. That's the end.
Boom. And he's the Prowler. He's the alternate version of the Prowler.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Was that like, I wasn't looking at the camera when I was recording that. And then when I came back to the camera, I'm like tucked in the corner over here.
No, so no, it's a bit bigger than you realize.
Okay.
You can go up to the corner of your frame and you can hit expand frame.
Oh, so I just look. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this movie.
Let's do it. So, yeah, you just watched the first one, so you're all caught up, right? You know, like his uncle was the Prowler, he died, and there's Nick Cage was the Spider-Man Noir, and then there's Peter Porker, and the really giant Kingpin with the little legs or whatever.
Yeah. Just real quick, the only thing that I didn't, because the first movie was also excellent. I guess there's two things I didn't like about the first movie. The first was that it made me feel nauseous. That kind of sucked.
That would get annoying.
But the second, Kingpin was so much larger than everyone else, and it was just like, really
ridiculous.
It makes sense when people from other universes are like different proportionally, right? Like Lego Spider-Man is like Lego size, right? Or, I mean, right? But he was just, and then he gets out of a car, and he was bigger than the car that he had gotten out of, and I was like, okay, come on. All right. But I watched the first movie.
Okay.
Enjoyed it. I know all the plot points that essentially Miles was like learning who he was and like learning his powers and like taking that leap of faith while trying to send all of his newly found friends home because they weren't supposed to be there. So at the beginning of this film, everything is supposedly fixed, and he's like doing his own thing. Gwen's doing her own thing. I thought it was really cool that we started with Gwen's perspective in this one. What do you think about Italian Renaissance Vulture?
That was funny. I thought that was interesting. I think it's a nice little subversion. You know, you think Vulture. But it's cool to see this other version. I'm trying to think. There's so many. Sorry, I'm exhausted. My brain's fried. But there's so many little one-liners that are said naturally, like with each little villain and each little person. That I was laughing during some of his stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But I thought it was cool. You know, I think it was interesting. I really enjoyed Spider-Gwen. Whatever, I think she's just Spider-Woman, but I think that they call her Spider-Gwen. And having seen, like the Andrew Garfield movies, Gwen Stacy's dad was the police captain, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was interesting how they kind of turned Peter Parker on his head in this universe, and he became the Lizard or whatever that villain's called.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Was that's not which. There are so many comics that they're pulling from for this content. So maybe there was a comic where Peter Parker actually becomes Lizard. I don't know. I'm not sure, right? But I also thought it was cool that they sort of like subverted that role and made Peter Parker like the flawed guy who made a mistake and became a villain.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
and like, but it's not even that. He was like some bad guy. He just like
Right. That's
was
what I
kind of
mean.
pushed. He was pushed a little too far, by the bully
Literally.
or whatever.
Like if he had been pushed like 5 feet, it probably wouldn't have happened. But bully pushed him like 6.5 feet.
That's a foot and a half too far. Game over.
That's right.
But no, I really enjoyed it, and I liked. Did you like? I think he's Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out. He's a vampire, right?
So I don't think he doesn't like drink blood, but he has fangs. There's like there is a comic where he has like sharper teeth and like some claw type things, and it's just kind of part of his story. But he doesn't always have them. But he's not like an actual vampire.
Okay. So he's not okay.
But he is
I like him less now.
He's like I guess he's Spider-Man of the future. I guess his 2099 is like his whole shtick.
Right. So not only does he have like multiverse travel, he also has time travel. Is that the implication here? Because if he's from the future, he would have to be traveling back to now.
I don't think it's so much that he has time travel. I think it's like he just goes to different universes, and those universes are at a different time in their chronological timeline, maybe?
The chronology.
I guess you could, I mean, theoretically, if you can get outside the multiverse, you can maybe pick and choose the time you want to go to.
That would be time travel. Yeah.
That would be time travel, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what's interesting?
I know a lot of things that are interesting.
Tell me one. Just tell me one, and then I'll go to my thought. Just tell me one thing that's interesting.
Did you know that Venus spins backwards?
Yeah, that is interesting. That all the planets are spinning in one direction, and Venus is spinning in the other.
Did you also know that the sun is a star?
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. Deep cut.
It is a joke that only we will understand.
And it's like 12 years old at this point.
I think it's older than that because you were at Georgia State and you were like, "Oh, I'm taking this class."
Yeah.
This class on planets and stuff. Did you know the sun is a star? And I was like, "Yeah."
To be clear,
I learned in 4th grade.
I knew that the sun was a star. Okay. I was saying it ironically.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you were.
I was. Anyway, what's your interesting thing? Or did you forget?
I think it's I remember. I think it's interesting that we have these canon events, right? Like Spider-Man, like these things have to happen. I guess I'm wondering, like, are all of these universes? There's no Batman. Or like, shit. Hold on. Let me walk that back.
That's the wrong publishing company.
That's DC. But there's no
Avengers
Thors
or whatever. Yeah.
There's no one else, right? Is that interesting to you? It's
hold on a second. No,
it's
wait
all
a second.
spider people.
Wait a
things.
second. Wait a second. There's one line where Miguel O'Hara,
he mentions Doctor Strange, right? So,
but he's referencing the MCU. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, I don't really give a shit. But okay,
he's
cool.
talking because like he says Earth 19999, and that's technically the MCU, and he says like Doctor Strange and the little nerd from Earth 19999.
Okay, so that furthers my point, I guess. If the MCU Doctor Strange is known about, why is it only spider people and things? Because some of them are not people, some of them are like animals or like robots or whatever. Why is it just the spider entities that are fighting crime in these movies and not like anyone else being pulled in?
So that's interesting because
the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, because like that's one thing that they didn't really explain is that so they essentially connect this movie to like every Marvel franchise. They did what the Flash did in saying like everything, it's
Mhm.
all connected. It's everything counts. When Miguel is talking to Miles and he's doing the whole multiverse and the blue, it's like a blue tree, like the branches come off and everything, blah 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 blah. You know that part?
Mhm. And then the webs we
Yes.
weave.
But the blue tree branch thing literally is like, it looks exactly like it did in the Loki TV show when it showed the multiverse there.
Okay, you've lost me because I haven't seen it.
Okay, so but then it jumps to the red webs.
Right.
So
Because all the spiders things are connected.
yes, and so that's where I got a little confused. I was like, whatever. I don't know if the whole blue tree thing is meant to do anything besides just go, oh, that's like it is in the MCU, whatever. But my question was like, okay, well then why? I guess to your point is like, why do the spider people get a separate timeline thing?
Well, because what he was saying, this part does make sense to me.
Okay.
What he was saying is that they're all connected by the same like trauma, essentially, and the same
Okay.
like hero moments. That's what makes them all spider people and things, right? And so if one of those canon events gets disrupted, not only does it impact that universe, but because the webs connect, it can mess up other spider people as well. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's not that it's like a separate one. It's just a timeline within the main timeline of life, I suppose.
I don't think that's necessarily like a timeline. It's a web of because there's no time on it.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
it's just
okay,
like
fair,
it's just
fair.
like a web showing the connection between all of these people slash things.
Yeah, just saying that. I
slash
guess
cartoons.
if you are the spider person of this universe, you
Mhm.
will have these beats in your life, these plot points.
Right. Case in point, Spider 42 or whatever somehow escaped from its universe.
The Spot did it.
Okay, so this excuse me.
Remember, because he was like, I created you, then you created me. And he was like, I brought a spider from a different dimension.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Well, hold on. So how did he get it to the other dimension?
No, so the guy who became the Spot was like working at the reactor or whatever that takes at the end of the first movie.
Uh-huh.
He was like working there, and so he was doing experiments and
brought the spider.
Brought a spider over from a different dimension, and that's the spider that bit Miles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was saying. But yeah,
Okay.
continue.
I don't remember what I was saying, but it was cool. It was going to be cool.
You were saying that.
So
yeah.
that was like a disruption of a canon event, which is not Miles' fault, but what's his face kind of blames him for, or not really blames him, but he's like, you were a mistake.
True.
Miguel. It wasn't Miles' fault, but that disruption caused a bunch of havoc in like Universe 42 or whatever, where the spider came from. But it also led Miles to do things that caused disruptions, right? So he like bumped into the Spider-Man of that universe and like distracted him, and then he got crushed by fucking
Yep.
What's his face, the Kingpin.
Kingpin.
And then later down the road, when they're in like the India themed universe, or they're actually in India. I'm not sure if like when they port, if they're in the same place, or if they can also go to different locations. Anyways, when they're in that universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
He saves Gwen's father, which is gonna mess things up, and then there's a giant like spot butthole that gets opened up in the ground. You see what I'm saying? So like that one thing affected multiple universes, right?
Yeah. But do you believe Miguel in the sense of like if you stop a canon event, it will be like catastrophic? Because at the end of the movie we see his name is Paviter Pravakar. He's the Indian Spider-Man. We see him at the end, so he's still around. His universe didn't get destroyed. There's like a black hole, and they go in to contain it. But then even at the end, Spider-Gwen's like, "Hey, my dad stepped down from being captain, so would he no longer be?" You know what I'm saying? Like, do you actually think that's legit? Do you think Miles' dad has to die?
I mean, I don't know. That's why they're making a third one, Hunter. But
That's true.
That's the give and take, right? You have Miguel, who has had experience with this. He's tried changing things, and it didn't go well. And he's saying one thing, like, this is how it has to be. This is how it's always had to be. Like, basically, everyone behind me, the rite of passage was that they had a loved one die. Which Miles is in a unique position because usually it's an uncle that dies, and then the captain is like Gwen's father, right? But in his universe, I guess there is no Gwen, or he hasn't found her yet in that universe, right? But his dad is becoming captain, and the little algorithm robot lady says that his dad is going to die in 2 days. And he has the vision that he shared with Spot, where Spot is... it was kind of a weird vision because we see both his dad as the captain and... the Indian captain.
Yeah, which I guess that was supposed to be like our clue of like, oh, this is a canon. Like when it's revealed that
right,
that's a canon event, you think of like, oh, that he saw his dad, you know.
But it's interesting. It's gonna be. I want to know why. I guess it's just a new movie, and so they had certain pieces that they didn't want to touch anymore. But why Aunt May was such a big like player, not like a huge player, but like she was a pretty big part of the first movie, and she like wasn't even in this one.
Yeah,
because she had like a whole like secret base in her house, you know.
Yeah, well, I think when you have this many Spider-Men, but also like Miles doesn't have an Aunt May really. You know, so if we're going to be mainly focused on him. But that's not to say that I loved his family dynamic with his mom and his dad.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was really,
for sure.
really great. Really, really great. And, you know, the whole subplot of him and Gwen actually kind of wanting to tell their parents, like, hey, I'm Spider-Woman, I'm Spider-Man. And
Gwen tells her dad, like, out of necessity at the beginning, and then almost gets arrested. Where's her mom? Did her mom die or something?
I don't know if it's mentioned. I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's a really, really good question. That's an incredible question, Zach, that I can't answer for you.
It's not...
it's the greatest question I've ever heard.
Well... I think the greatest question is who let the dogs out, but that's just me.
Wow, amazing. No, I'm not sure. But I really loved like the whole speech that his mom gives, when when Gwen leaves, like they're hanging out and Gwen leaves and she's like, go ahead. Especially, I guess, since I have a 2-year-old, so like I think of it differently. It kind of hits me differently, and I was like, man, I loved all the little jokes about parenting because it really is just like you don't know what the hell you're doing half the time. You're just sort of doing your best. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought they were all great. Like even like at the very beginning, when they're in the counselor's office, that whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I'm not backtracking. I'm kind of going sideways, but we kind of skipped over them. But I also really enjoyed the intro to the Spot. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really clever. And
he was just like trying to steal the ATM.
Yeah, he was just like, just let me rob you. Like I'm not. This it's not yours. It's the bank. Just like those little quips. But like even then, when like Miles is so like he's kind of just like put out. He's like, oh, dude, come on. Like I'm just trying to get this done. And it reminds me of a little bit of. Have you seen the Lego Batman movie?
No.
There's this whole like, the whole motivation is like, Joker in the movie. Joker is like basically saying like, I'm your greatest villain, I'm your greatest enemy, and Batman's like, no, you're not. You're just like, I fight other people, and like Joker's like heartbroken, and he's like, no, I'll prove to you that I'm your biggest enemy. And it was just funny that like the Spot's kind of like, no, I can be a good villain, and he's like, no, you're just the villain of the week, like whatever. I just thought it was funny. And he's an interesting villain. Like, we don't get many villains like him that have this kind of that sort of power set, you know?
What, to be able to create holes and to have quotes like, and I quote, "My holes can take me anywhere."
Yes. I caught that too. I want to see if he's not. I didn't know if he was okay. So he's not. I thought it was gonna be like original to this movie, but he's not. He's from the comic books.
Yeah, I think everything is from the comic books.
Yeah. I mean, I assume.
All the way down to like the gunslinger Batman and the.
You mean Spider-Man? You said Batman.
Listen, man, I've also had. You were talking about how you were up until 1:30 and got up at 6:30 or whatever. I was up until like 2 and I got up at 5 and I had to drive 6.5 hours home. Oh,
so you were in Memphis this morning?
Yeah, I was in Memphis this morning.
Gotcha.
So forgive me if I say Batman. You know, you're probably like inserting thoughts into my brain because Batman's your boy. You know, so I'm probably like, oh, I'm talking to Hunter. I need to say some shit about Batman.
That's a pretty safe bet. But yeah, as somebody who's not really into the comic books, which I'm guessing that I'm saying that as you, was this like too much? Was it not interesting, or was it still like fun and you know, compelling, or was it more just like oh, that's cool?
It was interesting because it worked. It didn't feel like they were just ham-fisting cameos in.
What, like Christopher Reeves?
I hate that shit in the modern comic book movies where it's just like 10-second shot of John Krasinski as Elastic Man, and then he just dies 5 minutes later. You know what I mean? And it's like, did you literally just do this because people wanted you to?
Yes.
I don't know. That kind of stuff is I'm not a fan of that. You know, I'm not as big. I don't know enough to be that guy. It's all the people that are like whispering in the theater. You know, someone will pop up on screen. You just hear like, that's Butthole Man, and he was in comic 469, 420, edition 2, and you know, and it's like, come on. This movie, I'm sure there was a lot of that. The theater that I went to was fairly, you know, it wasn't super full because the movie's been out for a month, but it worked. Like it wasn't just like you see someone on screen, you're like, oh, I wish I knew who that was. It was like, oh, that's funny. He has a pistol and a horse. Oh, yeah, that's funny. It's a chick with a robot. You know, it's like a little like schoolgirl with a robot, or the cat, or Lego Spider-Man, or you know, all those little things were like, I didn't need to know the source material to enjoy them, right?
Did you know who the Asian woman at the convenience store was?
No idea.
That's in Venom. She's in Venom.
Well, I haven't seen Venom. Yeah,
there's a scene where like he bites somebody's head off in her store, and she's just like, eh. So when he's like, does crazy stuff happen here all the time? It's like, oh yeah, because Venom is in this universe.
Okay.
Which means that's also Morbius's universe. So you know, there's that.
I will say that part was a little confusing to me because it sort of drug on for a little bit. You know. Yeah. I did appreciate like they brought out like archive footage of previous iterations of, you know, live action Spider-Man. I thought that
I'm
was
surprised
cool.
I'm surprised that we didn't see any Tom Holland besides just the line. But I was gonna say, I appreciated how they did the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man because they're both actually in it. If you look closely,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield's is much more pronounced. They do a close-up on him, but you can see Tobey and his Uncle Ben when he's dying or whatever.
Right.
As shots. But because at the end of The Flash, and mind you, if you've listened to the episode, I liked The Flash for the most part. But at the end, the cameos were just like the most cringy, super like ridiculously set up, and they used CGI to bring back dead people or
Right.
movies that didn't actually happen. So if they had shown archival footage of Christopher Reeves flying around a Superman, that might have been more tasteful than recreating him with a computer and him looking super uncanny valley.
Well, sure.
When you see the death of Gwen. I think it's the death of Captain Stacy from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and you see actually the footage of Andrew Garfield, and it's real. It's not like recreated digitally. But also, I get your point. I have been the guy who whispers in the theater. When we saw The Flash, Hannah saw The Flash, and Nick Cage showed up, I leaned over and I said, I'll explain it to you later. Because she was like, what the hell? But in this, they're all so ridiculous that it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, all right. It's just another spider person.
Right.
And even if you don't know, like, what they're from, the reference, you just kind of think, oh, they're just going to get ridiculous because we've seen Lego Spider-Man. He's in this, So if you see one on a horse, it doesn't actually, it's more just like, oh, funny.
Did you notice, this is something that I saw on either like Twitter or TikTok, but when I was watching the movies, I looked out for it and I did find him multiple times. The like creepy smiling kid who's always like filming him, Miles, and he shows up like 3 or 4 times, and he's always just like smiling, and there could be like something crazy's going on, and he's just like holding up his phone, filming them and smiling.
No, I haven't seen that. Is this in this one or is it in the?
It's in both.
I'm gonna Google
So
it.
there's like theories that he's gonna be like the biggest villain.
Smiling Kid Spider-Verse. That's so funny. What? And like, where does he show up?
Or maybe he's not filming. He's just standing there. So he's a student at the school that Miles goes to. So in the first movie, you see him a couple times, and he's just like, just staring. Like in one of the scenes, it's when Miles is like learning that his hands are super sticky and he can't control them, and he's like running down the hallway, and the kid's just standing there, smiling at him. It's almost as if the kid knows exactly who he is, knows his story. You know what I mean? Like he's not.
Yeah.
He's just like observing events, right? So you see him twice in that movie, and then you see him twice in this movie, I believe.
I'm watching the thing on Twitter. I'm gonna see. No, it's not playing. It's gonna take. Oh, wait a second. Where is he? Oh, wait, there he was. I see. That's so funny.
He's smiling when he walks in the classroom.
And then when he's trying to get back with the cakes in this movie, and he trips the guy who stole the shoes, he's standing there. That's so funny. No, I haven't heard that. I had a thought I was gonna say, but I forgot what it was because the smiling kid.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But I've read theories that like Miguel O'Hara is not actually who he says he is. He's like an imposter, and he's actually a bad guy.
Well, it certainly feels that way. It feels like he's a vampire. What if it's Morbius?
Oh, please! I would love a Morbius cameo in this somehow. I would love that.
Oscar Isaac as Morbius.
Well, because so they've made. Sony has announced that they're developing a live-action Miles Morales. And there's theories that Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to lead directly into a live action version, that they'll somehow bring this Miles into live action.
How?
I don't think I'd want that.
Well, it doesn't seem like it would be metaphysically possible within the context of the universe that's been created, because Miles as a cartoon or like animation comes face to face with like humans,
You are right.
like
And
real life live action humans. So it
And he's
just
still a
wouldn't make
cartoon.
sense.
Yep.
Hey.
You're correct, sir. But I'm not going to say I had a point I was going to make. Oh, what'd you think of Donald Glover cameoing as the Prowler?
See, that was one that I was like, oh, that's cool, but it didn't really add much to the film. That's one that I think is more adjacent to the thing that I don't like, because he didn't really like. It was just like, oh yeah, he was in the one of the Tom Holland movies. I can't remember which one.
The first one.
And there were rumors that he was either going to be like the next Spider-Man and be Miles Morales, or he was going to be Prowler, and he's Aaron, right? So he was going to be Miles. He's Miles's uncle, so he was going to be Prowler, correct?
Yeah, and it's a bit of a deep cut cameo because he played Miles Morales in a different TV show once.
Okay.
So, and people like wanted him to be in the Spider-Man movie, so it's kind of like a tip of the hat, sort of like the John Krasinski thing, just not quite as fan servicey.
It was nowhere near as fan servicey because it didn't last. John Krasinski got like 20 seconds of screen time, and people to like clap and touch each other or something. I don't know.
He comes on the screen and it just stands there.
Yeah.
For 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But no. He was Aaron Davis in Homecoming, and he even has a line where he's like, "I've got a nephew who lives here," so he implies that Miles Morales is in the MCU, whatever. And I guess with the passage of time, he became the Prowler. I'm assuming that that's the same Aaron Davis. Is that his name? Aaron Davis, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was caught with all the villains, so he must have been the Prowler, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he was like in the costume and stuff too. Oh, excuse me. Yawn. But yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm not sure what else you want to talk about. I really, really loved kind of seeing Miles sort of take over the narrative of his life, and kind of pushing back against the, oh, you're the mistake, like you're the one that caused all this.
Well, he hasn't yet, because right now he's tied up with the Prowler about to punch his head off.
Well, no, but I mean, like, even like when they're on that rocket to the moon or whatever, and he just stands, he lures them all away, and then just stands up, just says like, I am Spider-Man, and he escapes. But also, I like those kind of stories.
I go my own way. Do what I want.
Go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it my love.
You're not my real dad. You slam the door and run out.
I want to know, does Andy Samberg voice Ben O'Reilly? I'm trying to think. Because J.K. Simmons is back.
Yes.
He's the voice of J. Jonah Jameson.
Alfred Molina makes a little voice cameo.
We do hear him, yes. I don't... We see the video game Spider-Man 2. Have you played the PS4 Spider-Man?
No.
It is Andy Samberg who plays Ben Reilly. He's the Scarlet Spider. It's Scarlet Spider, the one who's like in the blue vest, and he's like, "I'm thinking about my past."
Oh yeah.
Where he gets down there and he's like,
There's
These
a
walls
disturbance.
look-
I'm going in
Yeah.
the alley.
And these walls look normal.
Yeah,
I thought that was
makes
really
sense.
funny. Which in that one, like he's like a Peter Parker clone or something like that in like that comic book.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it was really fun. You know, I don't know. There's only so much that we can like, you know. I'm so tired. There's a guy named Josh Keaton who makes a cameo appearance with his voice, and I thought he was related to Michael Keaton, but I don't think he is.
Oh, that sucks.
So disappointing. He's the voice of Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3. Wow. Anyway, yeah. Are you excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a good movie. It's not like my thing per se,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a testament that it's really good for what it is. That I am excited for the next one. Sorry, my energy level is
No, yeah, same.
super low.
Same. We can wrap up. Last thing. How do you feel about because I feel like we barely even talked about Miles, but you know, how he's grown and all that stuff. But how do you feel about the Prowler version? I foresee him being, you know, it's implied, but he's like your dad's still alive and you're, you know, in your world. I kind of foresee that being like a big catalyst of the next one. Maybe that version of the Prowler tries to get to Miles's universe. You know, what do you think of that choice?
Or, I mean, maybe. Or he just resents Miles because he still has his dad,
Yeah.
and he doesn't, so he just like kicks his butt. But it's clear to me that the other spiders know where he is because they have the data. You know, the ones that create their own, like, there's like 2 spider armies now, right? There's the Gwen Stacy led army, and then there's the Miguel O'Hara led army. So the Gwen Stacy led army should know which universe he's actually in and be able to travel there and you know, scoop him up.
Did you like Spider-Punk?
Yeah, Spider-Punk was cool.
That was Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
I've seen before I saw this movie, you know, this movie came out and a bunch of people were doing like cosplays and stuff. And one of the coolest cosplays that I've seen is a guy that was like Spider-Punk, you know, with the whole costume and everything, and the really cool hair. And but I didn't know what the hell. I was like, oh, this guy's just like super punk wearing a Spider-Man outfit.
yeah,
No, it's a character.
it's an
But
actual
no,
character.
yeah, he looks super cool. He's anarchy, man. Yeah, he was the first one to be like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah. He was like, for the record, I quit. It really is wild how many Spider-Man there actually are.
It's a bunch.
And they're all
At
like
one point-
based out of a comic.
Yeah. At one point, there's like the spider car.
Yeah.
And-
It's like a sentient car.
If you look really closely, the Lego Spider-Man is like up there on it, but he's like tiny.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's
the only
so
reason I
funny.
noticed is because I saw it on Twitter. You know how people will just like go frame by frame looking for stuff?
Are you going to join Threads?
Oh, I don't know. I don't do social media, so probably not.
Yeah. I joined it and I like claimed my username. I probably will do that for the podcast too, but I haven't actually done anything on it, and I really don't feel like I'm gonna, because it's just too much.
Is it the same as Twitter?
I guess, but it's not. But apparently it's better. I don't even use Twitter, so I just read
Okay.
it for Brave stuff in the news.
I have heard that it's tied to your Instagram account. So if you
It
ever
is.
want to delete
Yeah.
your Threads account, you have to delete your Instagram account.
Oh wow! Yeah, I got it. I joined through my Instagram. Anyway, we can wrap up because we're both exhausted. We apologize for being tired as hell on this episode. So Zach, I have to ask you the question.
Yes.
I finally got it right. But is Spider-Man : Across the Spider-Verse?
Did you laugh at the colon?
No, I laughed at your face.
Okay.
No, you were doing something. You were like, is it good? Is it a good movie? Is it? Oh, my light's too bright right now.
Your light's too good.
I know.
Yeah, it's a good.
Is that what you were doing? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. No one knows what we're doing because they can't.
No.
We're not doing the live video feed, or we're not like recording the video. So let's get back to the matter at hand.
Yes. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. I would say. You know what though?
Oh,
it's
no.
really good. It's an excellent movie, but people talk about it like it's like one of the best movies that's come out in the past, few years. Both this one and the previous one. And I don't think it's that.
Okay.
But it's good. It's excellent.
What would you give it? It has a 96% right now.
For an animated comic book movie, I'd probably give it like a 95. Yeah. If for like overall, in the overall scheme of movies, it'd be in the 80s for me, but that's still really good because there are movies that you like that I'll put in like the 30s or 40s, like Asteroid City or The Flash.
Fair. I would say this is the best superhero movie to come out this year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's one of the greatest animated movies based on just pure animation and just like the competency level of the work. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There are films that are more impactful to me, but this, as far as what it is, I think it's the best at what it is. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying. I disagree with that too, though. I think there's better animated films. I'm really a big fan of, because I don't know. I don't want to shit on this. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. But the fact that it's sort of like leaning on jumping between all these different art styles to be like something unique and interesting, whereas an animated film that has one steady art style that's like really solid throughout. Like the Studio Ghibli movies, like you need to watch Spirited Away, and we need to review that. It's going to be playing in theaters, I think in August, September, October, somewhere in there. And that's my favorite animated film of all time. I think it clears both of these Spider movies.
Okay.
And that's not, like I said, I'm not trying to take anything away, but people talk about it as if it is like the end all be all like animated movie, and I don't necessarily think it is that. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool, and I want to see the third one.
There you go. There you have it.
And maybe the fourth one featuring Smile Man as the villain.
Oh God. Well, there you go, everybody. It's good. It's very good, actually. And now it's time for Every Movie Sucks. Here we go. This is by Jackson Morris, half star. This shit was buns, not gonna lie. That's a new one. This is buns.
What do you mean? That's not a new one.
I've never heard that before.
Really?
The plot of this story was all over the place with the different Spider-Men and really got lost in translation for me. I didn't like how the plot revolves around many of the Spider-Men instead of just a styled Spider-Man movie. Well, I mean, that's the point of it.
Zayad Gomez says, movie is rated way too high. It was good, not great.
That's a half star. That's not a good movie. That's a bad movie.
Right. Half star should be reserved for like, this movie was bad.
Let's see here. The first movie truly for the TikTok generation. A movie that doesn't capture a moment as much as create one and determine expiration date for itself, an endless torrent of jokes and fights and noise and color that says way too much without actually saying anything at all.
Give me a second. I was reading a long one and then realized I didn't want to actually read that one. They're gonna make me wait till 2026 on a cliffhanger? Bruh. F this movie, says Elliot Brown. 2026?
I don't think so. I think it's 2024. I think it's next year. All right, last one for me. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was way too long, and I hated how it ended on a cliffhanger. The animation was way too flashy. Well, I mean... Oh, wait a second. I got one more that I want to read. But it's your turn, because I will not do two in a row.
Go for it.
Are you sure? I have your permission. Zach, hello. What are you reading? I can't tell if you're frozen.
No, I'm not frozen. I was reading. I'm trying to find one because now I was looking at something else and now I'm trying to find one. Max Jordan says, I got broken up with after watching this movie. Half star.
Here's the last one.
And there's like 6 comments that I'll just say deserved.
Last one. This says, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is by far the worst movie of 2023.
Ooh.
I cannot believe a movie like this was given the okay to be released. This movie is an absolute insult to real movie fans such as myself and would have never been accepted back when people had standards. Spider-Man is a horrible character and will always be a horrible character. Doesn't matter which version they come out with. If you enjoy this abomination film, it's safe to say you're just not worth taking seriously whatsoever. Oh man, let me see if this... I want to see what they... Favorite film is Raid 2 and American Psycho. Although
also,
they did give The Lighthouse 5 stars.
Also, how are you going to say this is one of the best animated films of all time when Shrek exists?
Hold on a second.
He didn't
This
hear
person,
me.
I did. This person 2 weeks ago gave this same movie 4 stars and said, I like it, but my God, you legion of nerds will worship and overrate everything that's animated or involving Spider-Man. So this guy just hates pop culture, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there you go. Do you have any more? I'm done.
I don't have any more.
Okay, shindig,
Don't
shindig,
have
shindig.
any more.
Shindig, shindig, shindig time, shindig, shindig time. I'll be quick. I've got news because I'm about to fall asleep. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Here's a sentence that I know you're going to be really excited to hear. Okay, are you prepared?
Yep, I'm ready.
This movie, this should be called For Zach Olsen because he's going to be so excited. J.J. Abrams is going to make an emotional, grounded, and gritty Hot Wheels movie.
Did you add stuff to that? That
no,
headline?
that was the headline of the article.
Okay, well.
And Daniel Kaluuya is going to be making a surreal and adult film, not like adult film, but a movie for adults. based on I'm tired.
A surreal adult film.
A surreal and grown-up movie.
Yep.
Based on Barney.
Now I'm thinking about the adult film bit. I love you very much.
Stop. You gotta stop right there.
Come over here
Stop.
And touch.
All right, moving on. Greta Gerwig is going to direct 2 Narnia films.
With a knick-knack, paddywhack. Wow, you have a bush.
Stop. Here's one that I know you're also gonna be really excited for. Okay, ready? Don't you sing another line.
Okay.
You ready? Mattel, which is they own the like toys. They own Barbie and stuff.
Right.
They have currently a number of movies based on toys in development. Do you happen to want to take a guess as to what number that is?
What number of movies?
Like how many movies they have in development based on toys?
30.
45.
Oh my god. I went high. I was like, there's no way. What? So like
I didn't see
like
the list. I don't
Furby and like Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, I would love a Furbies movie. That'd be amazing. I used to have a Furby when I was a kid.
I think there's still one in my attic that turns on every now and then.
Oh no, that's awful.
Why haven't you fed me in 13 years?
We have a full trailer of The Killers of the Flower Moon.
Mm-hmm.
We got our first poster for the Bob Marley biopic, One Love. And then we have our first on-set pictures of Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool 3. That's all I have. Zach, it's time for your Brave Minute.
Yeah, so the Braves lost one game this week. It was against the Rays today. It's like a 26 game home run streak, which is it's
a new record, right, for the Braves?
Record in the it said modern era and then it said parenthesis 1900 forward, but I thought the modern era was like way later than 1900. But anyways, we have 8 All-Stars, although like Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna were invited to the home run derby, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to put any extra stress on us. Spencer Strider and Bryce Elder were both selected as starting pitchers. They both said that they didn't want to pitch. They're not going to pitch in the game. You know, keep themselves fresh, reduce the risk of like injury, I guess. So it looks like the Braves are getting ready to, compete for a World Series. Do you think we're going to pick anybody up? You think we're going to go get a reliever?
Maybe. I don't know. I think maybe like a reliever. I don't know who else we would really need.
Keep this in mind. Max Fried made a start today in AAA Gwinnett. I didn't see how he did because I've just been super fucking busy. But he could be back in 10 days potentially,
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some relief help. That's really kind of it that I can think of that we would really need.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so right now we have a rotation that's doing really, really well. It's Spencer Strider, Bryce Elder, who got beat up today a little bit, but Spencer Strider's gotten beat up, and we're not going to send him down. I believe in Bryce. Charlie Morton, AJ Smith-Shawver, and then we've had like sort of a rotating spot between a few guys coming in to fill in.
Shawver got sent down.
He did, but he was so just lights out. I don't know.
But we had who was it? What was it? Colby Allard? Is that who made this start?
Colby Allard has made a couple starts, and he's been playing very well.
And then Soroka.
Yeah, and Soroka's up. We're getting Max back soon. We hopefully will be getting Kyle Wright back soon. So you have this like surplus of starting pitchers who are more than serviceable. Like we have a really good rotation of like 8 or 9 guys once they're all healthy. Do you convert a few of them to relievers, or do you trade some away? And what do you do?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Soroka or Shawver make an appearance in the bullpen at some point, especially Shawver.
Yeah. Well, Shawver's made a couple appearances in the bullpen.
I think that would be a smart move.
Yeah.
But we should be getting Dylan Lee back. I don't know about Jesse, but we'll see.
We will see.
Anyway, Zach, that's very brave of you.
It's the bravest thing I've done all week. Oh, by the way, Braves on top. I don't know if we had the best record officially last week yet. or if we were like right on the cusp there, like pretty much tied with the Rays. But we
What
are
do we do now?
well ahead of the Rays now. So Braves are the number one team in the MLB, going to be number one in the power rankings, baby. And, going into the All-Star break, 60 wins. We're not even at 30 losses yet. Sorry, I know that I added some on after you ended my shindig. But where can they find us?
Well, hello. We got to do whiskey shots to whiskey.
Oh, to whiskey.
We love you. Miss you. Gulp. You can find us. You can find us. I got it, Zach. I got it. You can find us on Twitter at BIIG Podcast. You can email us at biigpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at But Is It Good Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram and everywhere at Hunter Callahan Music. You can follow Zach on Instagram if you want to. He's never on it, but it's Zach with an H, the number, THA, future.31. Please say hello and all that kind of stuff. Did you like this movie? Do you like Spider-Man? Do you like animated movies? We're doing Mission Impossible, whatever the 7th one, part 1 is next week. I'm going to do a poll soon about August because we have a lot of time. We got a lot of open slots and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's all I've got. Zach, got anything else to add?
Nope.
All right.
Nope. I was trying to make you think that I had frozen again. I was not moving at all.
I thought for a second you were so still. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
I'm also going to go to bed. So y'all have a good night. If you're listening to this and it's 8 a.m. and you're on your way to work, turn around and just go home and go to bed because we're going to bed.
Go to sleep. Yep. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. But Is It Good Podcast? Yeah.